to help build stronger Macedonian economy. And we'll be focusing on both family businesses and culture as an important pillar to build stronger businesses, stronger family businesses that would further help in the transition of the businesses and also in the longevity of the businesses. Statistics say that as businesses progress from first towards second, third, fifth generation, they tend to close down. So we will try to recognize culture as a tool to support this transition. Today I'm happy to have 5 panelists. All of them have experience in their own family businesses. And they would be speaking from their own perspective to help the others actually fight some of the problems that they might be facing in their own family businesses. So I'm happy to host Thomas Bitov. He is a representative of one of the largest, North America's largest distributors of Red Bull and other premium brands. He has been, his businesses actually go back 45 years, and it's really interesting to know that he started as a dishwasher and progressed towards the executive board of the company. He's the second generation of the business, looking into transferring the business to the third generation. So there is a lot to share and learn from Tom. Then we have Professor Vadnjal, my dear friend, coming from Slovenia. He also grew up in family business as a second generation representative, but later on he tackled upon another profession, which was teaching. His master's and doctoral degrees are in family business management, so he would be also able to share some insights of how to transfer from one to another generation. Then I'm happy to also host Dragana Cifliganec, another woman on this panel. Yeah! Despite being Doctor of Law with specialization in sales in marketing, she is one of these persons that really takes care of the environment. Their business is one of the businesses in Macedonia that could be recognized as a company that returns a lot to the society. And I think this is one of the differences of family businesses. So they look at the environment as a wider or extension of the family. So she's also in the second generation, representing the second generation, along with her brother that is also supporting us from the audience. It's Adora is a construction company that is a leader on the Macedonian market in terms of energy efficient buildings, and they have won about 50 international and domestic awards for their contribution to this, and there are about 10,000 actually residents that can enjoy their product. Then I would like to welcome Alexa Šapanić. Like Thomas Bitov, their companies are larger than the 2 other company representatives that we have, that are mainly located at one place. So Alexa is currently a member of the shareholders office at NELT Group. That is represented on 8 markets by 11 different companies, having 16 billion in sales, both in EU and Africa.
1 billion.
1 billion, sorry, 1 billion. 16 was in the next decade. He's a great team member because it was interesting to find out that he has been part of the Serbian Olympic water polo team that has actually won bronze medal at the London Olympics. So I hope this team spirit is what he's bringing to the family business as well. And last but not least, Anatol Kurtevsky. I would like to have a round of applause for Pekabesko. As this year they have been celebrating their 40th anniversary, and there are not that many family business companies in Macedonia that are celebrating 40th anniversary. I hope we are going to face to be able to congratulate more companies on their anniversaries. So if we could have the iceberg slide on. I mentioned that we are going to talk about organizational culture and how important it is in trying to support the longevity of the businesses. So what is culture about? It's not just what you see on the out, but it's what is inside. The relationships, the values, the beliefs. And in family businesses, you would agree that this is a little bit different from all other families. From all other businesses. And how is that? Family businesses are like the song. It's love and hate, what a beautiful combination. I mean, you can't let somebody go, and if that is your son or your daughter, you will fight today, and tomorrow he is still or she is still in the office. And home. And home. And at home, yes, and at home. And if we could have the second slide as well. What you see on this slide is actually businesses as they progress from the first to the fifth generation. And actually those that are risk adverse and more traditional are experiencing on the long run increase in growth. And those that are the opposite are actually experiencing a slowdown. And this research that was done in 2018 by PricewaterhouseCoopers actually detected that organizational culture is one of the issues. And on the next slide, you will see that organizational culture has been found by majority of the companies as one of the topics to tackle upon. So if this is the case, and we are interested to find out what is this that the organizational culture in family businesses is about. It was Dr. Zinkan, he's a fourth generation representative in German company Miele, that was founded in 1988, saying that one can only interpret the values of the family, the values of the business, by living them personally and by making everybody in the business aware of them. Only by making the genetic code of these values comprehensible to all. Tom, what do you...
Wow. I absolutely agree with that statement. The culture of the company, the way it is set, will determine the success of a company in the long term. We're very fortunate to have parents that were involved in the business with us, that stood for integrity and honesty, and everything that they did in our business to help us develop our business was aimed at making us better people and trusting each other. The things that take down an organization are conflict, obviously, and dishonesty. And from my earliest moments being involved in business, even before being involved in business, our parents always taught us to be honest with each other. So that was one of the basic tenets of our business. And what they did over a period of time is we set up within our organization essentially a board, but we didn't refer to it as a board. We had 3 outside advisors which we brought in, which had no ties to the company, no ties to the family, but they were professional advisors. They were brought in, and we gave them the authority essentially to to run the company. We gave them more votes than we had personally in the company, just to convince them that we needed them and we wanted them. So that they came on board and they helped us strip the personal side of the business down to the basic part of down to the business side of the business. And what I mean by that is, it would be easy for John and I to have an argument about something, but if a third person is involved in mediating that, all of a sudden you realize, oh, maybe I overstated or I didn't state properly to John what the issue was. And you have these third parties that are constantly working with us to strip the emotion out of the decision. The other thing that my parents did in the transition phase was they encouraged. My father had this saying, I have 5 children and I have 5 fingers, and though they may look alike, they're all uniquely different. And him and my mother brought us up with that statement in mind. And what they meant by that is each one of us has different likes and dislikes, and we want to pursue different things. So at a certain point in time, they actually encouraged us to pursue our own personal businesses outside the family business, with one caveat, that if you pursued something outside the family business and you went for third-party financing, you'd offer it back to the family on the same terms as you offered to the third party. So now we could grow our own businesses, but at the same time we could continue to grow the family business. And then as we've transitioned, we used to be a food service business with all of our investments being in restaurants and hospitality. Now we're primarily a real estate company and a developer, and we still have a few restaurants left, but we transitioned. We've been able to do that because of the outside advisors, because of the system my parents put in place, and because my brothers and sisters are very honest with each other, and we don't have any secrets when it comes to our business.
Thank you. Dragana?
About the organization culture in our company, I think the main thing what I learned from my father the first time, it was only the deeds are reality. It's something that has been his slogan from 1994, and it's turned to the outdoor engineering slogan as well. That means to work hard, to invest in our employees, the most important part that we have inside the organization is to help between each other. That is something what is very, very inside our organization. Especially outdoor engineering, the last 17 years, we put our main focus is our employees, to take care of our employees. The philanthropy, the CSR. I don't know if you know, in these 17 years, outdoor engineering has donated 5 million euros in Macedonian society. And this is, I wanted to point like a number because it's, I think in no one other companies, like private company, has donated so much this amount of money. And to respect and to also the customer relation is very important part what we learn it's very important to notice that when you have a very successful father as we had, it's very hard to be in his shoes after him, but it's necessary to prove and to work hard. And as I said, only if you work hard, the results are obvious. That means in our organization, we strive to be better every day. We invest in our employees. We want to be like a family, not between me, my father, and my brother, but also we treat all our employees like our family. And this is something that me and my brother, we learned, and it's not just our family, but also it's our business. Yeah.
Thank you. Alexa, you work at 9 different markets. How do you succeed to actually transpose the organizational culture from the nucleus, which is in Serbia, to the other companies?
So it's very difficult. Actually, Nelt Group as a company doubled its size in the last 5 years. And 2 years ago, we decided to do a transformation, and a big part of this transformation was cultural transformation. So what we did is we partnered with McKinsey & Company where we launched the Organizational Health Index, OHI. It's basically a survey where you ask your employees about the leadership, about the vision, and how they feel inside of the company. And by the way, this survey, I think more than 70% of the Fortune 500 companies launched this survey inside of their business. And basically, when we launched this survey, we identified that basically the certain parts of the business that were not performing so well actually had the lowest grade in terms of the culture. So what we did is, first after that, the owners of the business, my dad and his partner, we organized a large town hall where the shareholders directly approach all the employees inside of the company to highlight the importance of the culture, what really the values of the business are, and basically in this way launching the cultural transformation. After this town hall that was actually broadcasted in 2 different continents where we operate, we did more than 160 workshops face-to-face with every single employee in order to share what the values of the firm are, how these certain employees fit in these values, and what is expected from them. And we really saw some incredible results. We actually did this year an OHI again, and it grew by I think 10%. So we believe as a company that culture and financial performance are highly correlated. And we are going to continue to invest in our employees. So, because we believe that the difference between the family businesses and the multinational companies is the culture. I worked in a multinational company. I worked for McKinsey, and when you walk around the offices, no one says hi. That is the culture that we are trying to nurture. That people talk to each other, care about each other, and basically every single person has a boss that is an inspirational leader to him, not just his boss.
Anatol, your company has 500 employees. How do you communicate with them? Do you share the family values with them? Which tools do you use?
The basic premise for us, for our company, is that our company is our home. So if I can simplify or synthesize how we behave, is the same way how you behave at home, you should behave at work. The same values, the same beliefs are being transposed from home to work. Basically, we want our employees to share our passion, our emotion, the most important, the emotion. And I think that throughout direct communication and emotion that is being transferred to the employees, they can understand what are the core values of the company. So basically, any behavior that would not be aligned with the one that is at home, like misuse of resources, corruption, nepotism, that is not acceptable, On the other hand, there is a caring strategy that we care for our employees. We treat them as a part of our family. As you said, we celebrated 40th year anniversary, and we gave awards. For such occasion, we gave awards, and there were 20 employees, more than 20 years in the company out of 500, meaning that the company has doubled in terms of size of employees in the last 10 years. That means that huge number of employees work for our company for a long time. That means that they feel nice there in the company, that they share the values, that they like the emotion and the passion, and what company gives to them back. So one of the employees had 58 years old, and we gave him a 30-year award. That means that right after the high school, they got employed, and now he's in a supervisory position, and most probably he'll wait for retirement in our company. That is most probably because he felt good in the company. You cannot attach people to your company if they don't want to stay. So you have to invest in people. If I can give an additional example, if we employ the people younger, they learn the values, they learn the beliefs, they learn the targets, the goals, and the means how to achieve it, so they stay. If we have, for example, a formed individual, a person who has worked in other company, they have huge difficulties to come and to adopt to our company, and they leave, especially if they're from the big multinationals. I mean, the big multinationals, people work under huge pressure. We don't have that pressure in our company. We try to build sometimes reasonable and rational. On the other hand, they cannot accept, for example, the caring that we utilize for our resources and for our company and the emotion, and they leave. So that is somehow, if I can, with this example, make a difference, what the values mean to the people of the company.
Thanks. I would like to ask everybody from the audience that is part of family business to stand up, please. Okay, about 40. Thank you. In the years to come, I would like to see more people coming from the family businesses. I hope to see more. But what is now important is that Macedonian businesses transfer from the first to the second generation is crucial at this moment, because in the future decade we are going to face the transition towards the first generation, and this is where the family businesses are most fragile. I would ask Professor Jaka to share his experience in advising family businesses in transfer from first to second generation.
Right, thank you. Can I spend 1 minute into explanation of my CV, because this gives background on
Sure.
how I came to all this bright knowledge I will be happy to share with you. Actually, I grew up in a family business which was founded by my father and his brother, so my uncle, back in 1971. So that was almost 50 years ago, in a very different economic environment and political. So, and this business was kind of the center of our family life all the time. It was, you know, everything, all the debates, all the discussions, all the birthday celebrations, New Year's, everything ended up in discussion on the business. And it was I wouldn't go into the details, but an engineering business. Engineering was in the family, so which faculty for the studies to roll in, there was no doubt. It was, for me, mechanical engineering. Never asked myself much questions on whether should I do this or not, whether I had any passion for this profession. No, it was just go for it. School never caused me many problems, so I actually finished up in 4.5 years, which was good at that time. But after graduating, I started to think, what shall I do after that? And of course, there was a job waiting for me in the father's company, which I somehow felt it was not quite okay. Because my brother, who was younger than myself, and he was a drop-off from the university, because after first year he somehow decided that that's not the studies, academia, that's not for him. He wanted to be practical, and he had a job in the company as well. So comparing one, let me call myself very good student, and somebody who quit in a year, same reward, a job in a family business. So I decided to try something else. I found myself a job in an old-fashioned factory with a chimney with the black smoke and everything, an engineering company of the old style. My first salary was equivalent of 501 Ante Markovic Deutschmarks in denars. Those who have a little bit of gray hair will remember this. It was kind of a very uncertain period what would be going on. If I had worked for the family business, I would have a company car. Working for somebody else, I of course didn't. I bought myself my first good bicycle for the first salary, It was stolen in 3 days, so I had to invest another salary. And my brother, who was dropped off from the university, he was driving a company car. But nevertheless, I survived for 3 years, and then the former country, in 91, Yugoslavia fell apart, and the business, my father's business, they were doing about 80% of the revenues in the other parts of former Yugoslavia, so the company almost collapsed. And my father went sick, so everybody thought he would die, and the family got together and said, what can we do? Not many ideas apart from having somebody fooling around in some old-fashioned company for 500 Deutschmarks per month. So they called me and they said, you're the brightest guy in the family, most educated, come and save us. And I was working without any salary for about half a year. I was borrowing money from, or I was getting some advances from my father, and we managed to turn the company around, which was good. And then I was kind of, there was all the time the issue that I was going to be the one who would be the next CEO. Not because I was the smartest, I told you that already, but this was not the main criteria. The main criteria was that I was the oldest of all the sons of both brothers. So kind of a royalty tradition was brought in the family business. And I'll be professor a little bit at this moment. I observe many or majority of businesses in Slovenia, family businesses, are transferred from the management point of view to the oldest son. It doesn't really matter whether the son is competent or not. Whether there is an oldest daughter, very often she doesn't care. Should be the oldest son. The Germans would call this Kronenprinz, so the crown prince who would take over. So here is one thing where I'll come to touch the transfer to the next generation, which is transfer to the next generation should be started with professionalizing the family business, not doing with some kind of funny tradition based on nepotism, culture which is based on we have been always doing like this. Our grandfather did so, and our father did so, so we will do the same way. The times are very different. The times are very turbulent. So second generation family business should be professionalized. And one thing why this does not happen is that what they always say for the founders, they actually never really go. Okay, they in Slovenia we have this legal status for former founders. The word is called prokurist, which means that the guy may have all the authorization to sign everything for the company, but no responsibilities. And these guys, they remain in the company very often until they drop that. Why? Well, that's another story. So when advising to family businesses, which I did quite a lot for a certain amount of time, and I'm a little bit back in the story, is make a plan. Once the next generation comes in, make a plan with the firm time scale. Should be 5 years or 10 years, but 10 years time should be ended by the fact that the old man, sorry for everybody, is gone. He's not anymore in the business. He most often is man, right? So he should be, playing golf, taking care for the grandchildren, may step in as a advisor, but should not come into the company more than for 2 hours in 1 month. That's it. Because then the kids never ever learn to walk by themselves if the old guys are still there. That's my mantra, which I'm repeating all the time. And if this willingness is not there, if the founder would say, yes, I agree with you 100%, but I may still be needed, the guys are really not experienced enough, and we have cases, 75 years old guys still, firmly in the saddle, and the next generation guys, which are my age, which is 50 plus, still waiting, for their chance. The literature calls this Prince Charles syndrome, right? What they're in, on the court, they're now working on how they would be more efficient to skip Prince Charles, right? Because the Queen would probably wait to be, I don't know, 104 was her mother or something before she died. So now Prince Charles will be at that moment probably 85. And since men are living for a shorter period of time, why would somebody care, a new king for 3 years? So they'll probably skip Prince. But that's very, very frustrating for somebody, being 50 plus.
Could we also hear the frustration of the other?
Sure. As Donna said, I used to be professor. I'm not at the moment, and when I get chance, I speak a lot. So, sorry, just interrupt me. Thank you.
I was trying to be polite. Well, as there is a clash of culture between the different generations, I would like you to share with the audience a situation that you were brought in, where you actually hold on to your beliefs and what you thought was the right thing to do at a certain point, where the founder or the previous generation was pushing for a solution that you were not in that particular moment agreeable with. So how did you step up? What did you do? Tom?
Well, I'll take that.
We're interested in flesh. Let's hear some nice stories.
So my story kind of builds on his story, but it's the same type of thing. My parents were very good about letting the authority rest with the next generation, but there were times when I was promoted to president and CEO back in about 1995. I was obviously honored. I was the second son, not the first.
Right.
And so my parents were a little bit unique that way. But
so you were the smartest.
maybe best looking, but. The situation that comes to mind with them is that they were always open for discussion. So we didn't have the difficult discussions that you talked about. We had the outside advisors that we were relying on. But true fact, about 5 years after my father had retired and spent all his winters down in Florida golfing, he came back one spring and he said to me, I want to come back as a co-CEO and I want to grow the company with you. And I said, well, if you want to come back, Dad, I'm not going to stand in your way, but I'm going to move on. I got a skill set and I believe in my skills, but I'll move on because it's your company if you want to look at it that way. And he said, no, you're getting me wrong. I want to work with you and I want to be a co-CEO. I said, Dad, you and I might understand that, but what does everybody else in the company see? You coming back in as CEO, co-CEO. They'll never interpret it the same way. So my father answered that question the way he always answered any question where he was wrong. He never brought it up again.
Well,
and people like Mike who know my father know that's hard to believe, but it's true.
Well, speaking about leadership, that can be also a silly drawback into the leadership of the company and how that would be
He was doing it for all the right
perceived.
reasons, but it was the wrong thing to do, and he accepted that.
Dragana? The video.
Probably everyone has the same story here. The beginning are the same, especially with Mr. Yaka. He told us very interesting stuff because I agree that my brother I saw him that he's laughing because he's in the same position now. I believe that what Mr. Yaka said is really by the book and by reality. For the first time, what is in the book is in the reality the same thing. it's very difficult because always we have this question, but. No matter what are you doing, you are right, but it's everywhere also in our case. As I said previously, outdoor engineering is 17 years. So we have most of the employees are from the beginning. There are more than the outdoor age existing. The team is really constant, and they know. When I joined outdoor engineering, the company was 5 years old. And I thought to myself what I would do there. They are already a team, what I would do, and everything. But I used to study in Thessaloniki, my bachelor and my master degree. I started working there, and when I decided to come to Macedonia, I knew the team pretty well because every summer I was on like student volunteering inside the company, but everyone precedes you like a daughter and students volunteering inside the company. And in one moment you should be like colleague inside the team. And what I decided, and I talked with my father, that he is my boss, and I want to be my boss during the working hours. And when I call him my boss, everyone says, but it's your father. But it's my father at home, not at the work. And I wanted to, I was placed in the ocean conference with all the employees because I wanted to know all the steps in details and to learn from everyone inside the company. But at one moment I decided everything what I learned from my education to put it on papers. And I one day I called him, I want a meeting with you. I said, what is the marketing budget for the next year? And he said, what? Marketing budget? Dragana, come on, spend as much you want. I said, come on, you mean it should some limited budget to measure something? He said, Dragana, this is a bullshit. You need to work as you think, but it's not this kind of. And I realized that this is the first step that I should do something by myself, and I did my marketing activities for the next year without budget. And how I did all the activities, I put it in one Excel table, and at the end of the year I said, we did so many, we did revenue this, and the average percent of the marketing expenses, I compare with other years and said, who told you to do this? I said, no one. But it's a proper way to do and to measure some things, because in Macedonia, no one do efficiency for the promotion activity, for marketing and everything. And what's the next step is planning. Up to that moment, no one was like planned to do what we are doing for the next few months and maybe in years. And I started to formalize some processes in the companies, and he was really like shocked, why you are doing this? But at the end of the day, he realized that, okay, do what we want, but on the end, I will tell what is the final point. I said, okay. But the main point is that this transfer, when we were only two of us, my father and me, it was like tough but not so challenging. But now when my brother is here, we are three of us, it's even more challenging because we women are more quiet, more diplomatic to say everything what we want. We will finish, but on the smooth way. But my brother he's tough, and I want to do this on that way. And now it's really, I feel like Matthew Nimitz is a very famous in Macedonian, because 20 years he's between Macedonia and Greece, and I'm feeling like Matthew Nimitz. Between two fires, always I want to be honest, because I know the situation from the both perspectives. I was in the same place as my brother was, and I know how he wants to have new ideas. He studied in Dubai and he has really great ideas, a new one. And my father said, come on, this is not Dubai, you know. And I know that he is right. And if I am on the side to my brother, I said, come on, you spoiled him again, this is not home. And if I am on the side on my father, because I know he has really positive backgrounds, because he was a manager, top manager on state company from his 32 years old, and he has really big experience in management and leadership and everything, but he cannot touch and to accept something what is from his kids. You know, because always we were kids to him. And now when I'm on the side to my father, because my brother is young, he said, come on, you are again to his side. When I'm on the side to my brother, my father is mad. And I'm in some position that is not very pleasant, because everyone in any position mad to me. But what is the most valuable in this family business is that you have a lot of pros and cons, but as you said, Ms. Yaka, I liked your speech a lot. Maybe you can come to our company to share some more detailed experience. Is that on the end of the day, the business family is it's another part. We are a profession, and we want to. We have the same goal, to improve our work. And I believe that I'm 100% sure that maybe in Macedonia it's very now it's new process, because we are a young country and we had challenging over 30 years in this society. For this transfer from first to the second generation, and I believe that Macedonian is not very familiar with polo sport here. I don't know, we should find another sport here for our fathers to do, but I believe that yes, I believe that the same, when we are in the same shoes as the first generation, we will do the same things, the same excuses, the same obstacles.
We'll
probably
see in 20
this
years.
is inside us. I don't
Thank
know.
you. Alexa, what are your experiences? Do you call your dad at work?
It's actually a difficult question for me. I started working for my family business 2 months ago. And I do not make decisions. But I can give you a situation right now, because I'm running few projects inside of the company, and obviously in every family businesses they're resistant to change. They're used to doing certain things in certain ways, and it's very difficult for them to change their mind. So my approach was, well, actually, I come to my dad and I say, I'm doing this and this. He's like, do you save some money? And I'm like, I just started 1 month ago. He's like, just talk to me when you save some money, when you earn money. Nothing else. So, right? Yeah. So, and it's facts, easy as that. So I was like, okay, no problem. Basically, how I think about it is, how you persuade people is by showing the results. So what I did is, right now I'm first working on the plan of how I'm going to execute the certain project, and I'm going to pilot it. I'm going to pilot it in the small part of the organization, and I'm going to show the results. And by showing those results, I will be able to convince my dad and also the senior executives inside of the company that that is the right way to go. For me, I believe that persuading people is only with facts, and that's what I'm trying to do. So no hard decisions or big decisions, but small steps, process, control, and then lots of thinking, but also lots of involvement from all parts of the organization that are part of that process, in order to gather their knowledge and build the best process that you can, and then piloting to a small part of the organization, and also having a very good tracking mechanism and pilot it for a month or 2 months or 3 months, and after it, once you show the results, then you roll it off throughout the organization. I think that is the only way how you can convince someone that works in the industry for 30 years, and I work for 4+.
Thank you. Anna?
I mean, in our case, Matthew Nimitz was not enough. Matthew Nimitz resolved a peaceful conflict between Macedonia and Greece, So we needed our Richard Holbrook, who resolved a violent conflict, In our case, because I have my brother and my father, we are all males, so the natural chief negotiator is my mother, So I have been present in numerous argumentation. My father is not an autocratic style of leadership, but let's say in our company, nobody has challenged his views before I came, and also my brother came. I come out of these US business schools where critical thinking, argumentation, dialogue, analysis, research is the cornerstone of making decisions, So I come back to work, and I started implementing that because I was, a ton of money was invested in my education. So if there are no results out of it, why the money, Why the money invested? Look, and now, first, what I learned in this US business schools is you ask questions, Yeah, and I started asking questions, normally with predisposition in that question towards, you direct the question towards the goal that you want to achieve, And usually I ask the questions, and then you get reply without facts. And then normally you have one more question, and that comes to a conflict, So there were numerous conflicts, not on beliefs, not on goals, not on objectives, mainly operational, on the means how to achieve the goals. Basically, our company, since its inception, is a distribution trading company. We moved to be producers 20 years ago. So there was a strong sales mentality, So the major indicator for success was sales, turnover, let's sell, And again, coming from this business school where neoliberal stuff, where you have profit maximization, I said, okay, it's good stuff to sell. I mean, it's good, but you have to make some profit, Because this company cannot survive without profit, So even if I ask some of the employees, I joined the company in 2005. If I ask some of the employees, what was the profit of our company, which is public data, what was the company last year, I dare that 2 people, otherwise from these accounting finance guys, would know that info. So practically, that was the first one. Thing that I somehow noticed. Look, guys, we need to make some here restructuring. We need to take out some products that are not bringing money, and we're bringing a lot of costs, and blah blah. Basically, the point when the discussions and arguments stopped, and me and my brother become more empowered. As I said, with the facts, we couldn't convince him, but we convinced him with the results. So whenever the results of our work, of what we were preaching, on what we were doing, of the concepts. For example, my father built a factory from the working capital. I mean, he spent all the working capital on new factory. When I came in the company, there was no money, He spent all the money on instead of taking loan from the bank, which is normal, He said, I didn't learn that in school. And then when the results come, 2007, 2008, we become more empowered, He was so confident and happy because me and my brother were in the company working. And now, whenever we have, he's the one who is now forging a consensus. So whenever we want to make a decision, we forge a consensus. For example, he's very keen on making investments in machinery and that stuff. And because of certain movements in our industry, we thought that it's better to postpone them. He didn't want that, but he didn't say a thing. Because he knew that we were right. I present the analysis, the papers, and now we're still on a standstill. I mean, postponed for 6 months. Basically, he tries to forge a consensus now, and he coordinates with us. Not only me and my brother, also the other employees now started to employ critical thinking and challenges and that stuff. Usually, I don't go on work in Saturday. And he goes every Saturday, and he collects all the people that 20 years old, that all the people that are for a long time, and they discuss the business, mainly the sales stuff. They're discussing, and as the time passes, we have exponential growth of weird ideas. So let's say one a week, weird idea. And basically, they don't want to confront them. So on Monday, when I come to work, they come to me and they said, the director said, this and this we need to do. I said, we cannot do that. And by the end of the day, I convinced him not to do that, because that's not reasonable to do. So to conclude, as I said, as the results were coming and the company was getting better and better, in better shape, as he saw that certain weaknesses of the company overcome, the conflicts, the discussions, which were always positive. I mean, conflict is a good stuff, but we in the company, we were not used to it. Decreased, and now we have some regular path how we make decisions and how we agree on stuff. And for my father, it's very important, me and my brother, to have the unity. So basically, because me and my brother, we're coming from the same background, educational, we have more or less the same stuff, the same vision. He is having opposite of us sometimes, the weird ideas that are coming every week. So basically, he is now trying to forge a consensus, and we don't have discussions and conflicts as much. Sometimes happens, but nothing special.
Thank you. Dragana, would you like to share your story and run the video?
The funny thing was...
Jaka, just a sec.
Sorry.
This is what is it about.
I decided to share with you this example because it was really one day before one grand opening to one building. My father is like a boss that he wants to check everything in details, and one day before the grand opening to one building, few years ago, I showed him the scene, what it's planned and everything. And I explained that from the building they will have opera, singing, and said, "What? This is not possible, no way!" And he was yelling like a whole city to heard about it, And in that day, the same day, it was a new employee with me. I said, "Come on, the first impression with our boss is like yelling on the to the end of his voice. I don't know how to explain you." And I said, okay. I was very calm because I noticed what is I learned with the years. And I said, okay, we will not do it. And he left, and me with my team, I said, okay, we are going to do that. I said, how to do that? He will kill us, okay? You don't know that you are doing. It's my responsibility. He cannot fire me, This is the main point. And I was 100% sure that this is something good and new. It's not a typical grand opening, just to go to eat, with the red to finish and to go home. And after this, you saw the face to my father, how strange was, for the first time I decided to do something that he doesn't agree with that. But after many years now, she said, that was very good because 10 days during all the meetings in Skopje, they were top theme for this grand opening, because not even the opera singing also was in the invitation. We said that everyone that has old clothes to bring it to the grand opening, and this was a charity part as well. And also he said, this is stupid thing, the people are coming for fun, what is this? But from that moment and on, he realized that we should put some new elements, something new, to not be classic and just come, see and go. And from then on, now when we have again fights for something, I said, you remember like a few years ago what you said? I said, okay, but now this time it's different. But no, it's not the different, it's the same again. But when you are 100% sure for something, you should stand and to have this, to use the joker that no one can fire you, you know, that you be again on that position and inside of company, because sometimes we need to do some results, as Anton said, that to prove with results, not just talking. That was something what I wanted to share with you, because I
Jaka,
think
you wanted to add something to what Anatol was saying?
I wanted to share this before, but all the three, like they read my minds. And so with an MBA, and we often send kids to, you know, even fancy MBAs to US or London or so. And you cannot make any progress with as a second generation with all the MBA crap you learn. So in my next life, I would find a host university and organize a family business MBA, which I will take the syllabi of all the classical courses, and I will take like marketing and only add 2 lines. One would be communication marketing with the previous generation, and the second one would be making a small step agenda to implement what I learn at the marketing course. And this is what I do with all the courses, and this may make, you know, second generation help to implement all the bright ideas which they learned at the courses. Because once you come back to work for the family business, you have to earn another practically oriented MBA. Just the paper means nothing, basically. Yeah.
What are the 3 things, Anatol, that characterizes your organizational culture as a family?
I'm sorry, I didn't hear you the first. I didn't hear the first part of your question.
What are the 3 things that characterize your organizational culture?
What are the 3 things?
And the question goes for everybody.
Everybody.
So you can buy more time.
I have to make up the answer now. Basically, if we start through the communication, my door of the office is always open to. So whenever employee, whoever, because most of our employees are on one site, they can come and we discuss the problems. So we don't put problems below the carpet. That's the worst thing for a company or for an organization, to put problems below the carpet. Then let's say that we don't want to waste the resources. So any waste of resources of the company is perceived as tragic, and we put a lot of control mechanism in order not to do that. And one more thing is that we try to be better every year. So the last year, next year to be worse than the last year. So those are the 3 things that I don't know if I answer your question, but those are the 3 things that come to my mind that are important for a company.
Thank you.
I'll say 5, that's fine.
Just fine.
To give you a situation, so basically when we started our cultural transformation, we redefined our values. So we had 2 values, which was winning mentality and caring people leaders. So if we basically combine with it, is we wanted to be the number 1 in the market, but we wanted to understand the people and what their needs are. So those were our 2 core values, but as the market is moving really fast, we were like, okay, what are the values that are actually attracting the younger generations? So we introduced 3 more values, such as innovation, long-term perspective, and personal responsibility. And we believe that these 5 values are going to bring us where we want to be in 10 years. And I think one which is very important as we talk about the profit is the long-term perspective. You know, we want our employees to think 10 years in advance, not to think about today or tomorrow. And therefore, they need to think about the profit in order for us to exist in 10 years. So that's how we basically redefined our values, and then we launched basically 160 workshops where we explained them in depth in order for every single employee to understand them, and we had really good reactions and some really good results.
Excellent organizational orientation you've done.
And one more thing is, when we defined our values, we connected them with the activities that we already have inside of our company. So, for example, we have Heart on the Field. So our managers go with the delivery guys once in, I don't know, every 3 months to basically show, to understand what they're doing, but to understand what are their needs and what are the problems they have every day in order to help them. We also have the voting for the best colleagues, and then as we talk about the culture, our top management has a KPI which is 20% about the culture, about the feedback that he gets from his employees.
This is an excellent achievement because participative culture is really difficult to implement in large organizations like yours, so congratulations on this.
Thank you.
Dragana?
It's very difficult to put in like few points, but in Adore Engineering we believe that employees and constant education and investment in employees are the key element, because if you don't care about the employees, you mean you don't care about anyone else. That means we used to have this kind of program a few years ago, and also we have feedback from our employees that we are like family, and they feel Adore like a part of the family, because it's not just a work. If you're not in direct communication and you don't feel their problems like your problems, that means something is going wrong. That means employees are in the first place. After, to be honesty, to be honest, no matter how hard it is to say it, because if you share with your colleagues and your team, it's easier to find solution. And when I came to the team, my focus was customer care, and to have systems for customer care, and to always to put in the shoes in the customer, to not take to say, oh, this is not our problem, or the guarantee is only few years, your guarantee is passed. That means no matter what, you should take care for the customer, and the results are obvious, because after 7 years our customers are always coming with second, third home for the cousin, for the family, for everyone else. And we have very, I think, customers, clients, and honesty are the 3 basic points.
Tom, and what are the values that you would like to see in the next generation taking over the companies?
Well, this is probably the same that we see in our generation right now, which are, we touched on a little bit, integrity, respect, and the ability to listen, which I think is a very undervalued trait that a lot of people don't have. Again, we were brought up that you talk to everybody in your company, you talk to your staff, you talk to your customers, because the only way you're going to get honest feedback is by talking and actually listening to what they're saying. So I don't see that changing in the future. I think those 3 attributes will be attributes that will carry the family into the future.
Thank you. Jaka, what are the values that you usually face with when you consult the companies from your experience? Or what is missing, maybe, to rephrase the question, to successfully transfer the business from one to another generation?
Well, one thing is for sure a clear answer to the question, what is the purpose of or the mission of the business? We need a clear answer for this. If the purpose is nurturing of all the family members which need the jobs, then that may not be a good starting point for sustainability of the business. So I mean, once you ask people about the values, they would more or less list, kind of classical items, which I would say they come from Catholic values, more or less. So things like honesty and stuff like this, they would all say. But my main question and provoking is always, what's your intention to do with the business? Is it going to be a business which will also, as a maybe secondary option, give an opportunity to the family members, or will be exclusively to serve the family, and whatever it takes or whatever it lasts, that will be good, and then we'll pursue some other way. And missing a clear mission or maybe a vision, what we really want to do with our family business. Do we want it to last? Do we want to earn money? Do we want to exit? Do we want whatever? It is just the clear answer. This is something that I really miss, and it comes from a lack of ability to discuss this actually about family members. So what is on the long run? We don't know. We don't talk about this because it may quickly end up into very psychological stuff, like question that in the end of the day we are all dead and stuff like this. So as a kind of discussion that I could say always miss and is absent from the family businesses.
Tom, would you advise local businesses to join together in an association, organization of family businesses nationwide, where they can share their experiences and contribute to the let's say, memory and the future challenges of the family businesses? Is there a body that is helping family businesses in Canada, for example, where you are part of?
There is a body in Canada. It's called Canadian Association of Family Enterprise, and we were members of it for a number of years, and it was very helpful because you hear other family stories and you realize, geez, I share a lot with other people. So when you bring that into a forum where it's up for discussion, it actually becomes very cathartic and very beneficial to your family. I got a lot of benefit from being in that association.
Is there such an association, maybe informal gathering that you are part of?
Informal, maybe yes, but I think that if we form, because there are many family businesses in Macedonia, that's a good thing compared to the other countries that are coming from former Yugoslavia. I think we have much more family businesses, so I think that should be an informal association, because if it is formal, that might jeopardize the current business associations that are in Macedonia. Because if you see in the chambers of commerce, you see a great chunk of companies there being family businesses or run by one family, or many businesses run by one family. So informal way will be more appropriate than formal way, because we have our association that we can reach our targets and goals and make our voice heard throughout this organization. We don't need duplicity.
Thank you. Jaka, before we go to the Q&A session, I would ask you to share this story that I'm really fascinated about, what I initially said Tom Ford, which was Henry Ford. In the scenario when I was writing, I was I wrote by mistake Tom Ford and not Henry Ford, and then I got a reply back from Jaka saying, "Who is this Tom Ford?" Yeah, I said, well, he's in the design business, but I'm aiming about Henry Ford. Can we have the... Yes, it's a great brand, I agree. Can we have the slide on? And Jaka, please.
Yeah, this is an old story. We have the picture. So the question was already answered. Who is the guy on the picture? It's Henry Ford. He was actually one of the people who 100 and something years ago, they dramatically changed our lives because he invented an affordable car for the middle class at that time. And now we cannot imagine our lives without a car. Before Henry Ford, it was different. So from the viewpoint of innovation, entrepreneurship, he was definitely a hero of the last century, if you want, a legend. You were talking about the legends, I think. The dark side of the moon says that Ford Motor Company also developed, of course, as a family business. And apparently Henry Ford was at his 82 or something, still the president of the board of directors. And at that time, he gave an interview for Forbes or Fortune 500, guys like this. And the reporter was asking him about the plans. And he was very self-confident, and he was always speaking like, I will do this. I plan to expand the production. I will build a new factory at the age of 82, which is okay. And then the reporter decided to provoke. And he said, well, with all the respect, you're in great shape, but, 82. I mean, people die at 82. It can happen, right? And the guy said, well, have no worries regarding this. If, not when, but if I die at 82, they're smart enough so that they will figure out who will take over the company. And the anecdote goes on that 3 years later, he ended up in a hospital for broken hip or something, not an injury, not that dangerous. And he started thinking, and he said maybe that would be a sign from heaven that it's time to, pass the business on. So he called his son, which was Henry II. What could he be? And he said, my dear son, I decided it's about time. And Henry II said, well, thank you, Father, for all the trust you are showing to me, but I'm not interested. Henry said, well, how's that possible? And Henry II said, well, I've been retired for the last 7 years. So it was like one of the Prince Charles. And, case studies on management, they actually prove that Henry II made a great contribution to the success of the Ford Motor Company. He was the implementer of all the concepts which are still, now and normally the automobile industry is is the first introducing new concepts in the production, but was never able to step in as a president of the Ford company. It was also the character, because Henry Ford was the one, the legend, and what we have here in the region, the economic situation, we all try to find solution. My call is that we would like to have a Henry Ford that would invent something like a revolutionary thing. Whether we will have one or not, I'm not sure. Unfortunately, we have a lot of the other part of Henry Ford's guys that just don't go, okay, and this needs to be in a way promoted. Messages should be given that we should help family businesses to go to the transfer process, which cannot be done like overnight, is a process, and on the other hand, leave the next generation a room to develop. We were discussing the issues how education may not have that much, and in this case, the legends should think about how to step away a little bit. I'll switch to the language of the neighboring country a little bit. They have this nice saying, which goes like, "Ispod velikog hrasta ni trava ne raste." And it's actually not funny, right? It's a tragical thing, and I have seen so many cases of these great oaks. So this should be really, and on the other hand, we don't have experience. Okay, in Slovenia, we have 80% of family businesses still in the first generation. The transition, the experience on this is not there. So we need to build it. And we have this, very old statistics saying 1/3 of family businesses survive the transfer to the next generation. Others, were just gone, vanished, because the transfer is not properly managed.
Thank you.
Welcome.
I know we have a bunch of questions, so we're going to take about 10, 12 minutes to ask questions. Please be very specific with the question you want to ask, and we'll start right back in the middle right there.
Hello, my name is Jovan. I'm leading one organization called CEFE Macedonia, and we are helping and working with successors of family business. So thank you for this panel. And next week we will have one forum for the successors, for the young successors. And my concrete question is what they should require from their close environment, from their maybe previous generation, and what they should require and should be aware of the society in order to make that process of transition successful. Yeah, it's understandable?
The society will underestimate you, and that is a competitive advantage. So they should be aware of that. Because I have won a lot of battles just because people underestimated me. So,
Excellent.
you're going to be mom and dad son that didn't fight for anything in his life. That's the picture from outside. So that's why I said the results are the ones that, make you confident. Concerning the succession between the first and the second generation, that really depends on the first generation. And also depends on how serious is the second generation. So if the first generation is, if the second generation is not serious in their aim to take the throne, then it's difficult, because then you do not project confidence that you can do that. The first generation is not going to give you the company to destroy it. So basically, that's a mix of factors that is not always successful. Sometimes it's better if the second generation is incapable for them to give them means to leave and bring professional management to lead the company. Sometimes that's a better solution. And I don't think that you can have a general rule of thumb how you would do it. Because a lot of things, emotional and professional, are intertwined. So it doesn't work in every case. It's not accounting, it's not finance, So basically, you have to study case by case. But if the both sides there is a willingness to do, yes. For example, my father is very happy now, but he's not retiring. He doesn't want to retire. That's the forbidden topic. Although me and my brother, we are raising it every week. Not because we don't like him here. I call him our most powerful weapon, But still, taking the responsibilities for 31 years, I think that he should retire and take the fruits. But most probably that is internalized with him, and he's not giving up. But he's empowering us to do whatever we want, in terms of business. But he wants to be there. He said, I'm going to be 80 years old, coming every day with a tie and a suit, just walking with people and saying hi. So basically, it really depends on the both generations.
Macedonian Henry IV. Macedonian Henry IV.
That is his aim,
That is how.
And also to be. Also, my mother is in the same direction. Although
my father-in-law goes to
so
to
she
work.
wants. She's still coming to work despite the fact that she's having 3 my brother has 3 kids, and she can take care of them, for example. No.
My
She wants
father-in-law
to
is
be-
coming to work on Saturday and Sunday, and he says, "Why don't you come to work on Saturday and Sunday? It's a weekend. Come on."
Kutrevsky, well, still he's in his element. Mr. Kutrevsky, I was intrigued by the postponement of investment in a company. 2 short questions. Does anything have to do with the scheduled elections next year? This is the first one. And the second, since you implied that the youngsters in the company were for postponement, does it mean one of the following, that the youngsters are more risk averse? Are they more rational or something else?
I didn't hear you the first part of the second question. That's the first part of the second question.
Are the younger people in the company, are they more risk averse? Because as I understood, you pushed for postponement.
Yes. To answer your first question, no, it's not because of the election. I will be specific now because you asked that. It's because of the African swine fever in our industry. There is African swine fever, and if it comes to Macedonia, that will have a severe negative impact on our business because 50% of what we produce is export. And in case it happens here, that means that the 50% of our export is in question. So that's a serious number for our company. So that's why we want to see how that's going to develop, because it happened in Serbia and it happened in Bulgaria. And it happened there. And if it comes here, that will be seriously hit. And that's why we made the analysis, we made the numbers. What would it mean in terms of export, in terms of numbers? And we made that decision. Yes, you're right. My father is, I'm more risk averse than him. Yeah. That's true. That's true. His intuition and his willingness to take risk made him great. Yeah.
We're going to have one last question and then a wrap up from the panel. So, Anna, last question.
How does this work? Okay, good. So I'm, very impressed by all of you, and thank you so much for being here. I think this was my favorite session to plan, as a matter of fact, with Nikica. And I think this is a must session for us. Family business is a core to what we do in Macedonia, and you have all great representatives of it. But actually, I have a question for Dragana, because she's the only woman panelist. And how is to be a woman in a succession game, if you will, with your very strong father, you have a brother, you said dynamics at home. But I think to me it's more interesting, how do you prove yourself to the clients that your father had established a certain way of doing business, and now you as a young woman with a different maybe approach, and how do you think about the role of women in this situation?
Nothing is easy today. I passed like 13 years in our business to prove and to show, and most of the cases, most of the clients, they doesn't know that I'm the daughter of the boss or the owner of the company. But after a few years, they found that it was really a funny situation that they said they are going to the manager, said, Dragana is very good employee, she's very responsible, she's doing that, and like in some moment he would tell us, oh, she's my daughter, It was really funny situation because they are going customers to my father to say that he has a great employee, but. I was in the position all the time to prove with work and results. As Anton said that when you show results, it's obvious. And sometimes they said, you have luck. When I came to the company, we were in investment like 8 million euro. We were in investments with a few plans. And now in this position, after 13 years, we are investing and we are in more comfortable zone. But when I joined Dora, it was a world economic crisis. It was really challenging, and as he said, cutting costs to see what is the best price for the best quality. It was really challenging, but after a few years, I found myself that it doesn't matter that I'm a woman. I can go on the sites, and I was most of my time, maybe I learned the business because I spent most of my time out of the offices on the construction site. And when you are there, you found all the issues and problems, challenges. And now when you are in the office, cannot say your story, how it's going there. This is very important. And still today, sometimes I'm lucky, but also our father is lucky that they have kids that they want to work, because besides me and my brother, we have sister in the United States. She doesn't care about our family business. That means no every child wants to participate in the family business.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank
Great panel.
you. I'd like to draw a few conclusions from this panel. Looking at successful family businesses where organizational culture is about trust, integrity, and active listening. But it's also about defending your own thoughts and ideas for future development as the second generation or the generation taking over the company. I had an opportunity to meet with two professors from Ivy Business School through Macedonia 2025 earlier this year, and they've shared an experience of actually implementing family business executive courses, and this is a message to the board of Macedonia 2025 to actually, if possible, try to support or maybe transfer some of that knowledge that they already have. And on the other hand, I see also family businesses from Macedonian perspective that are not well represented. Not supported at the moment, and there is a lot to be done in this respect. So at least you can lead the way towards giving a voice to the family businesses in Macedonia. Thank you for being part of this panel. Love is in the air.
Thank you all so much. You guys can get off and wait for the next panel.
Alex.
Thank you guys so much. We've got one last panel today, and I think everybody that's been here today will realize this is a perfect way to finish off what has been an incredible first day of the summit. The next session is going to be on Macedonian platform companies and success stories. So as you're sitting here listening about ideas that you have to move forward, things you want to do with your own businesses, these are some great success stories that'll show you what you can do starting a company here and how to grow that globally. So I'd like to invite the team up to the stage to get started. I know that was a great conversation. We can continue that at cocktails a little bit later. I want to make sure we get to this next panel to finish off the day. So if you can, please take a seat and we'll get started again.
Okay. As soon as they take a seat, let me ask them. Thank you. Okay. So good evening. Welcome to our panel. It's a panel on the success stories of platform companies in Macedonia. And I am really privileged to introduce Katerina Trajčevska, who's the CEO of Adeva, and then Vesna Kuzmanović, who's the CEO of Stratum, and then Steve Anevski, who's the founder and CEO of Upshift, and Nino Karas, who's the CEO and co-founder of Codewell. What is really interesting and actually very thrilling for me is that all of these are high-tech companies. And this is truly in the spirit of Industry 4.0, which now is taking over the industry, and people realize the potential of digitization, whether that's in healthcare, in industry production, and any aspect of our society and business, including services. So as I will ask my co-panelists to introduce their companies, I want you to keep in mind that we've gone in the area of IT from systems of record, which were all of the IT systems of the previous decades, and we've gone even through systems of engagement, which is more recent, and now with AI, we are going into systems of insight. And we have here a true AI company on the panel, and I will ask my co-panelists to talk about that. Before I ask my panelists to introduce themselves, I'll say a few words about myself. I'm from Macedonia, and I've been a teacher, and I have some of my kids here in the audience. I can say they were my kids. I taught in Rade Jovčevski Korčagin, which was the first high school of computer science and math. Truly wonderful kids, very strong, driven, and many of them are very successful in business today. Then an instructor at the mechanical engineering faculty, Ahmet Phillips, now 25 years, and a little known fact that I did entrepreneurship inside a big company. I started a completely new business in genomics for Philips. So I somehow feel some of the challenges that someone needs to go through in order to bring a new business. So with this mindset and having gone through some other experiences, I'll lead you through the questions. So first of all, let me ask my dear panelists to introduce themselves, tell us something about themselves, and also tell us something about the vision that they had for their company and about the success story of the company. So please, Katerina, can you start?
Yeah. First of all, I want to say that it's a great pleasure to be here today. My name is Katerina. I'm the CEO of Adeva. We are an exclusive network of developers who work remotely, and we are in the staffing industry, basically supporting companies when they need to build products faster or reach new milestones by deploying engineers to their teams as distributed team members. When we started, it was 5 years ago, we were thinking about the way we were looking for jobs for ourselves after graduating, and at that time it was hard to find something that it would feel interesting to you. It was mostly older projects or outdated technologies that we had here in Macedonia, and we wanted to do something different. And that's when we started to looking for opportunities abroad and trying to do some freelance work to start working on some more interesting projects. And it basically formulated our vision kind of organically, because at one point we wanted to do the same for all developers here in Macedonia and for other developers abroad. just because we think that everyone should have equal opportunities to develop their careers and to work on something really exciting for them. So we started in Skopje in a small office, 5 people. We are now in 20 different countries working fully remotely, and we're really proud to say that not only in Macedonia but in many emerging countries in the world we are trying to bring this, to make this thing a reality and to bring more interesting work to people there.
Brilliant. Thank you.
Thank you.
Catherine.
To all of the guests. My name is Vesna Kuzmanovic. I was introduced. I'm CEO of Stratum RIT Impala. This is spin-off of Stratum R&D, the consultancy company for market research and innovation management. So with the platform Impala, it's artificial intelligence-based platform for market research. That means that we use this platform for testing every kind of stimuli in communication, marketing, and strategic management in terms of uploading the stimuli, and then we use not as previously popular methods for market research when we use words from the respondents to explain their likability, for example, for the stimulus, or do they think that this is effective communication, etc., etc. We use implicit metrics. That means that we developed algorithms through the camera of laptop, which is posed in front of the respondents, and we actually track the movement of eye of the respondents, and we recognize emotions through the face. So this is something which is really new in the area of marketing. Marketing is called neuromarketing, but this is really exciting project because our platform is first do-it-yourself platform on global level, and it's. I think that with all of the investors which we discussed, they said that. Actually, they see not great potential, but huge global potential. And we see actually the whole team which is involved in the project of Impala, we see ourselves as the next Survey Monkey, but in something which is really better and much more exact in terms of prediction in communication. So we worked on this platform 3 years. I think that it's the great opportunity for us, cooperation with the Macedonian Academy for Science and Arts. Even the leading member in our team is academic Ljubčo Kocarev, who is most cited ICT experts from Macedonia worldwide. And I'm really thankful for the opportunity to cooperate with that great minds from Macedonia, and especially to involve young people who have aspiration to do something from here, to not be only users of technology, but creators of technology. So the vision is that we will be, I think, maybe not first, but we will be one of the unicorns from Macedonia in the next year.
Wonderful, thank you.
My name is Stephen Eske. I'm the CEO, co-founder of Upshift. And what Upshift is a mobile-based marketplace for hourly shifts in the hospitality industrial sector. So it's basically a staffing marketplace, and the unique component of our business is we're US-based, but our development office is here in Skopje in Republic of Macedonia. And really what we're doing is revolutionizing the $300 billion a year temporary staffing industry through the use of technology that's bringing transparency and accountability to a sector that historically hasn't had it. And you know, it's exciting to be part of a large industry as we're disrupting, and it couldn't be done without cooperation on both sides of the pond here. And really, ultimately, our vision is to revolutionize an industry that really hasn't changed in the last 60 years, and really globally. You have very large players that are doing the same thing for the past 60 years, and it's ripe for disruption, and we're doing it. And Currently, we're in 16 cities throughout the United States and soon to be 30, so it's a little bit about Upshift.
Thank you.
All right. First, thank you for having me today here. Codewall is an award-winning IT company that provides enterprises with product development services. We were founded back in 2011, and from that point on, we've created more than 100 products for amazing brands like Sony Music Entertainment, T-Mobile, A1 Telecom Austria, and many other. And the projects that we've built were featured on some of the best media in the world, like Forbes, the Huffington Post, TechCrunch, VentureBeat, and other. As a company, we specialize in the field of artificial intelligence and deep learning with a focus on chatbots and mobile apps. Our team consists of 25 brilliant employees here in the office in Skopje, Macedonia, but also four amazing people in the office in Oslo, in Norway. The vision of Codewall is to create a world-known product from here, from Macedonia. And having that said, we are recognized as a company behind a couple of significant Macedonian startup companies, the latest one being Let's, which was the first company in Macedonia to ever raise venture capital funding, but also the first EU startup that ever won the prestigious Product Hunt Product of the Year award in Silicon Valley, competing against companies like Google, Slack, Duolingo, etc. As of this very moment, we are working on 3 completely different projects. One of them, the first of them is called Dana. So Dana is a product that is disrupting the HR space using artificial intelligence and how big enterprises are doing performance reviews. The second product is called ReadSpace, with which we provide an ebook ecosystem as a service in the countries and regions where Amazon Kindle is not present. And the third one, our flagship product, is called Codewall AI, which is an advanced technology platform for creation of smart digital representatives in the form of chatbots that can speak any world language with a very high precision and become experts in any given field or industry.
Thank you. That HR product sounds very interesting, especially I'm not sure I want to be judged by AI, but maybe AI will be less biased. Let's talk about what did your friends, family, colleagues think in the beginning? What did they think about your idea? Did they think it will work? And what do they think now? Katerina, can you tell us?
Yeah. So back when we were starting, it was we were still young. We didn't have enough experience in the field. Both of us, actually, my co-founder and I, we were working in local companies, but only for like 6 months. So it was kind of unnatural to decide to leave a job at that point and start something on your own. And we didn't have that much support from family and friends, basically because they were concerned that it wouldn't work and that at the end we would end up alone at home, no money, no job. So it was kind of hard to work in. Luckily, we were both out of home, living in Skopje, so we didn't have that much contact with parents. That helped. But still, over time, they understand that what you do, you like it and you're good at it. And over time, they're much more supportive and helpful. Mm-hmm. So that changed a lot in the years.
Mm-hmm. Thank you. And Nino, how was it on your side?
Well, we started off as 2 tech students, with 2 laptops, no business experience, no initial investments, and a sheer vision to create a world-known product. The classic Silicon Valley entrepreneurial story, except that it isn't happening in the Bay Area yet in a very difficult market that is the Republic of North Macedonia. When we started back in 2011, I was 21 years old, and to start a company at the time, being 21, was a bold move. It was a bold move because there was no startup ecosystem formed in the country. So it made the whole journey really difficult on so many levels. And although our, actually, mine and my co-founders' parents, or both of our parents, were really supportive and really believed in us, we really had to tackle, I would say, a nationwide skepticism and change the public belief one success at a time. When we were starting, people were being protective and saying, a lot of different stuff. So they said things like, you can't run a business and study in parallel. You're too young to start a company. And things like, you will never build a product that will be acquired by a big enterprise. International accelerators would never accept and be interested in a Macedonian startup company, nor any investors will invest in a Macedonian startup company. But we said that they are wrong, and we actually proved it. So our first product was acquired by T-Mobile, and we were one of the first companies in our country that had the startup to be acquired by an enterprise like T-Mobile. In 2014, we've built a startup called Marco, which was the first Macedonian company that was accelerated by an top international accelerator, Rockstart Accelerator in Amsterdam. In 2016, we were the first company that ever raised venture capital with our startup Let's, and went really far with the startup. And quite recently, actually, this year, we were named Entrepreneurs of the Year in North Macedonia by the European Business Awards, which is a great recognition and huge recognition for us and our team, but also the entire ecosystem, startup ecosystem from which we come from. So nowadays, we are sharing our story and mentoring younger entrepreneurs, and our story serves as a motivation for younger people. Because we've proven that you can start a company here and be successful as a young entrepreneur in North Macedonia.
So that's a great story, and it's quite defiant that you have proven all your naysayers wrong, especially about the international aspect.
You have to be persistent, so I would say, yes, that's the key thing.
Great. That leads me to the next question, which is really when you start a company, you have an idea, but now that you are breaking through and you have success, how do you think your company can help the ecosystem in Macedonia and the economic growth of the country? So this question, Katerina, Vesna, if you'd like to address.
Yeah, thank you. So I think that Impala is a great example of how ecosystem should be built, especially here in Macedonia, because Impala is product with synergy between business and academia. So that means that business idea was mine, but when I presented to the Professor Kotsarev, I just needed approval that we can go with that. We started to work really on a level which is maybe not understandable for Macedonia, because you have such a great mind in the team, and you have young people from my company who are researchers. They are actually youngsters from the academia after finishing the school. And we have a lot of young people from technological university who are involved in research, but in ICT, not ICT, programming, software development, but in research. And it was such a great energy and synergy that actually no one from the team member in any case used the word I or me. Always when we discussed, we were we. And we work such a one person with all different point of views to see the Impala, then problem or challenges which we faced. And after actually this success story of launching the Impala, we were supported by the Fund for Innovation. That means that we actually, with Impala, involved in government in our ecosystem. And thanks to the Fund for Innovation, actually we succeeded to somehow present Impala on the major university worldwide because our business model is for university we will give actually free access because our algorithms based on machine learning and artificial intelligence will be actually more and more exact in projecting the reaction of the people if we have great database. So that means that we have again some social component because especially in university in Macedonia you know that we have no laboratory for research and development, even we have no any kind of equipment for research. So our platform actually will be cloud platform for research and development, and we will offer to the university, not only in Macedonia, but for all poor country, actually to offer to the students real research. I think that we are a great example how different stakeholders in the ecosystem can work really efficiently, and not only our cooperation or our ecosystem idea to build and support will not be finished after the success of Impala, but I think that now at the moment, especially we cooperate intensively with Startup Macedonia and especially with Igor Majov. So the team from Impala is always involved in different mentoring processes, then engagement or recruitment of young people and give them some perspective that Macedonia it's really a country where we can produce quality experts, not only in the field of using the things or worldwide. Even when we want to somehow evaluate some person, even we as a panelist here, they said, oh, he's a great speaker, he knows everything, he has a lot of information. Now I think that we have obligation to break through the education, especially in Macedonia, and to create people and experts who will challenge all the knowledge and information which are available, and to start to develop something which will change the point of views in science, in society, etc. So I think that we are on a great way. So the society will judge us.
Thank you. And in terms of, we heard about code.org this morning. Are we going to be able to offer it to our kids so that they can do their own research for any projects in the future? Any students at any level, you think?
Yes.
Vesna?
Yeah, for sure. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, we will start with University of American College here in Macedonia because I'm a lecturer there. And, but we are sure that especially with Finki and the University Faculty for Psychology actually, because one of the professor from the Psychology Institute is involved in developing the consultancy side of our platform because he's an expert in evolutionary psychology. So he knows actually or he will consult the companies how to get insight from our results in terms of recognizing the different pattern in perception. So we will start there too. Yeah.
Thank you. And Steve, how is your company positioned to help the ecosystem and the economic growth of the country?
Well, I have a little bit of a unique story, I think, from the other panelists in the sense that I was born in America. My last name, it's Macedonian, and both my parents were born here. Really the story of how Macedonia is a part of this story begins with kind of the founding genesis. I have two other co-founders, and our CTO was based here in Skopje, and we started the company 4 years ago. Two of us, the other co-founder was based in the States, and our third co-founder was here in Macedonia, and we're just the three of us. And I'm not a tech person by any means, and we had this idea, and we were going to run with it, and we started coding here in Macedonia. We were selling in the States, and naturally, we started hiring developers that our CTO knew here in Skopje. And it was never a charity case because the developers that we were finding were world class. And obviously there's cost advantages, but the culture has been very consistent on both sides of the pond. And the communication's always free flowing. So as we've grown a team here, obviously the benefit to the country is, we pay very good wages, best practices are shared, culture, communication of what we're doing. We're building, a global product here. We've got world-class venture capitalists in the States who have invested in us. But I think ultimately, the know-how is being shared. Within the ecosystem, we're constantly attracting new talent and we're sharing the rewards. Our company, we've allocated a large percentage of our company in stock options, and the Macedonian employees share in those, and it really incentivizes folks, and that might be a new concept here in Macedonia, but for the people that it really resonates with, it's been profound. And ultimately, one of our core values is this idea of ownership, not only in what you're doing, but ownership mentality. Being that we have 16, 17 offices in the States, and here you can't be everywhere at once. And we found that the strongest way to incentivize people, make sure that we're rowing the oars in the right direction, is through that stock option and obviously the shared mission of what we're doing. And for the ecosystem here, bringing that concept, I think, has been very powerful, and just naturally, having the trickle down of, American managerial prowess and, the Macedonian technical expertise has been pretty profound. And even within the ecosystem, we contract with a dev on a certain component of our platform. It starts kind of multiplying itself. So, with regard to Macedonia, we're very proud to, me being a Macedonian heritage, to be part of that story, but it's never been a case of, us trying to necessarily do charity. The Macedonian team here is world class, and we put them up against anybody out there.
Thank you. I can further testify to that, but in a different way. Of course, many of my colleagues who come from Macedonia really are at top universities and companies around the world. But I want to come back to the question of really, it all sounds success and breezing and growing companies, but there must have been challenges, and the question is always, how did you break through? What were the problems that you had to overcome? Nino, would you address the question?
Well, you're right. You're absolutely right. Like, it all sounds like, pink world and like all success and smiling faces, but starting a company is really a tough challenge. When we were starting, again, like in 2011, almost 9 years ago, the concept of like new founders founding companies was so new that like TV hosts were often visitors at our office, and they would film the office and do interview with us. Every time they were doing a piece of like what startups are. Even the president of the country paid us a visit one of the early days of Codewall. So it doesn't sound that far away, but it is really in how the things are different now back then. And there were a lot of challenges. As I mentioned previously, there was like almost 9 years ago, there was no startup ecosystem of any kind, which made the whole journey difficult on so many levels. Not having an ecosystem meant not having any kind of support, meant not having business accelerators that you can attend to, meant not having funding opportunities here, meant not having successful or failed startups from which you can learn from. And when we were starting, honestly, we were 2 tech students, with a great vision, but absolutely no business knowledge of any kind. So, we have to learn a lot of things by doing them and like figure it out along the way. So we faced a lot of challenges and learned a lot of stuff, from basic things like how to do business, how to hire and manage people, up to things like how to do sales, how to do fundraising, up to challenges like how to sell or get your first international client when you are a small company coming from a small country that is the Republic of North Macedonia. So it was really challenging, and we had to learn a lot of stuff, but I would say that the situation is quite different nowadays. Today we have a startup community formed, which is still in the early stage, but it is there. And there are organizations like Startup Macedonia that helped found the startup community and work on growing it. We have a couple of business accelerators in the country that are functioning and helping young early stage startups start and grow. We have funding opportunities now. 9 years ago, we didn't have any funding opportunities. Now there are maybe not many, but there's still the Governmental Fund for Innovation, which is of big help for startups, but also scale-ups as us, and provide the needed funds for the startups here to start their products and grow them further. But also we have a venture capital now present in the country that was not the case 9 years ago. And not to forget, we have organizations like Swiss Entrepreneurship Program that brings mentors of different kind to work here with the local companies and startups and help them with expertise in different fields. So I would say, there are a lot of challenges, but the challenges are different back then than there are now. I would say starting a company now in Macedonia is much easier in a way that there are the essential key elements already present in the country. And plus there are a couple of use cases and successful or failed startups from which the companies can now learn from. We try to help a lot with this. We go on events, share our experience that we have with different in different areas, from fundraising to user stories to how we launch the products and so on and so forth. And there are many events like this happening in the country, so there are a lot also other players like us on the market that have been through the road and can help the new generation of young entrepreneurs with their journey. So.
Great, thank you. So I want to ask next, Steve, I want to ask you, what is your view, because you have both the US experience and Macedonia experience, as to how did you break through, and what is the additional government support that you could have used or you need, or anything from the ecosystem here?
Well, at the end of the day, we're a marketplace business. We have a supply and demand, and with any marketplace business, it's chicken and the egg. It's always difficult. And with our particular business, I always say there's 4 legs to our stool. There's tech, there's sales, there's operations, and there's branding. None of which are revolutionary in their own right, but bringing them together in the industry has been quite revolutionary for us. And trying to manage that, obviously, with disparate teams is unique. So for us, the ultimate challenge was, starting a company is easy. Anybody can start a company. Executing on a company is a whole different story. And executing with a marketplace where, balancing that chicken and the egg, especially when one side of the marketplace is enterprise businesses, is extremely difficult. And I think in a lot of ways our naivety was a blessing, because if we had known how hard it would be, we never would have attempted it. But once you get started, you just have no choice but to turn around, and you've got everybody bought in, you got money, it's like, oh shit, we got to go. Breaking through, I wish I had a magic playbook. We do now, and we open up cities every month, and we've got a team, and our team here in Macedonia on the tech side is just knocking it out of the park. But I think the breakthroughs, they came in small bits. From the initial breakthrough, you create an MVP and you take it to market, and it was startling to us that we had paying customers for this initial product. We're like, wow, that's complete dog crap, but people are paying us. So it gives you that initial confidence and, raising money. And, I hear the stories that, the entrepreneurs here in the Balkans and Macedonia have in raising capital. It's extremely difficult, but hell, it's difficult raising money in the Midwest in America too. And, we were scrappy trying to bootstrap it, and, the best source of capital is revenue, and we're like, well, we better start making money. And, we went out there and we're selling, and all the while we're trying to get the supply side. So the initial customers, they start coming, word of mouth, we execute in one city, and then the irony of the whole thing is being a localized marketplace, because people are only going to work hourly shifts within their metropolitan area. You want to open another market, you've got to repeat the same thing. So, you know, we thought it would be easier the second time we did it. It was just as hard. Then the third time, just as hard. But by the third time, you know, stupid as we are, we're like, okay, we better figure something out, and we start doing it easier and easier. But I don't know if that answers the question, but the breakthroughs, they're always coming. And, you know, we don't consider ourselves a success. You know, every day we're out there working and executing, and you know, we're fighting many elements. You have incumbent players, which are multi-billion-dollar publicly traded companies that aren't very fond of what we're doing. We've got some new entrants. I mean, Uber just launched a product very similar to ours a month ago. You know, so it's the nice thing, at least with a marketplace business, is if you do it right, you get network effects, where the more people you have, the better the experience is for more and more people on the platform. It creates this virtuous cycle, and ultimately, from a strategic perspective, what we're trying to do is go market to market and establish these network effects, and that becomes a very strong moat, where if somebody wanted to come and outcompete us, you know, two things would have to happen, where A, we would have to royally screw up, and B, they'd have to spend a fortune to dislodge us, because it's a very sticky relationship. So ultimately, that's what we're focused on. It's never easier. Obviously, the markets we've got high liquidity, we get deeper and deeper, but every market is a challenge, and you know, with the growing size, it requires more and more features, which keeps the tech team engaged. So it's an all hands on deck effort, and it will continue to be. And you know, like I said, it's not an easy space to be in, and it's not a sexy space. And I think that's the opportunity set. You know, kids don't trip over themselves at Harvard or MIT to go into the staffing industry, but that's probably why it hasn't changed in 60 years, and that's what we're doing.
Yeah, it sounds like you're really starting to disrupt that whole industry, and especially the story of Uber. Aren't you worried about them coming in?
Not really, because the great equalizer, you know, Uber's a B2C company. They've got drivers, they've got consumers, whereas the one end of our marketplace are businesses, enterprise, like Hyatt's and Marriott's, and unfortunately they don't respond to marketing. You have to go in there and sell them. And you know, us being at it now 4 years, we've got several large national contracts we can start leveraging and using them as anchors in new markets, which reduces the time to profitability for each market. But at the end of the day, it's a $300 billion industry. There's room for plenty more people, and our strategy is to go, you know, plant the flag and create that competitive advantage, that moat in those markets, where if they want to come in, they're going to have to go through the same curve that we did. And unfortunately, money isn't the solving factor here. It's execution.
Great, thank you. My next question is for Katerina. So what are, in your view, the enablers from the Macedonian ecosystem, from the government, VCs? As Nino mentioned, those were non-existent, and now they start to exist. But how do you feel, as an entrepreneur, you could be better supported?
Yes, the funding is much more available now than it was before, and that's something good, and it improves over time. But the thing is that we don't have a connected ecosystem, and we don't have that much opportunity to collaborate between each other, to share knowledge, to share resources. And also the regulations are kind of rigid. So, for example, I remember when we started, the first thing we did, we bought the 5 seals that the government requested for us, and those were for managing your archive, your documents, your books, and it wasn't something that we as a startup were supposed to do, because I didn't even know what those seals were about. And then instead of thinking about how to bring in more customers and how to find a market for our business, we were concerned about all this administrative, legal, and accounting stuff that we should not worry about. So one of the things that I know, there were some discussions in our ICT Chamber of Commerce about opening a technology park here in Skopje, and this is very old, but I think the idea is really relevant still, and it will really bring something new to the startups ecosystem, because it would create an opportunity for them not to only have a place where they would work together, but also share resources. For example, we could have a subscription model where we could subscribe for monthly accounting services and then split these services among ourselves. And that would really reduce this burden that we have as companies at the beginning, because we don't know anything about this regulation stuff. We know what we want to build.
Okay, great. So yeah, the idea of a tech park keeps reappearing, and I think one day we'll have it. We were just discussing this yesterday. And this reminds me, when we visited the President Pendarovsky yesterday, he recalled how when he met the President of Finland recently, he told him that his first priority for him is AI. So that's a priority for an entire country, and I think for Macedonia as well, it should be very high priority to have this kind of support tech park that would really help in these, could be mundane, but in the beginning, what do you even need to worry about? And having that constant support and someone asking and helping you ask the right questions and have the right priorities.
I wanted to add, we mentioned Startup Macedonia a few times, and they're working on something like this. It's not a tech park, but it's still an online platform that would connect startups and bring them closer to mentorship and to other startups who are working in their field. So I think that is a good step forward, because it doesn't only have to come from the government, it should come from all of us, and we should all do what we can to improve this ecosystem. So I think we're still going forward, but there are some parts where we can be supported.
Yeah, so note, big note to us from the board. So with all of this, I'd like to ask Vesna, because Vesna has been an entrepreneur since 2000, and successful, very successful entrepreneur, serial entrepreneur. Some people associate the word serial with killer, but she's a serial entrepreneur and a very successful one. So I'd like to ask you, what's your opinion on what you think are the qualities of an entrepreneur, and what should people have in mind when they make steps towards, yeah?
Yes, I went through my career as actually, I started in 2000 as a founder of the company. It was first Macedonian market research agency. And I was started with the idea that I just wanted to work something which no one offer in the country. And it will be much easier for me actually to recruit the clients. And this idea really realized without such a much effort, and I was surprised how easy, is to doing business in Macedonia. And can you imagine that for my first client was at that time Pivara Skopje and Mr. Janevski, as one of the most successful businessmen in Macedonia, recognized potential in me, and he gave me confidence even to consult him and give advices how to build for example, some new working units, or developing new product, launching the new product, tracking the old brands, even Coca-Cola and Heineken at that time were, still are, but Mr. Janevski is not now part of the brewery, and I was surprised that not so easy, but I was surprised how people actually can give a trust in consultancy. And all business was, I don't know, it went so easy. So after 7 years, I even get an offer to my company be acquired by international company. So again, I was surprised how actually is easy, to attract foreign investment, because I was at that time only 30 years old, and already I was the first woman who succeeded to attract foreign direct investment in international company. And of course, at that time, it was so motivating for me. I accepted the offer. Of course, the main motive actually was to get access to the source of knowledge, innovation, because GFK is a German company, but present in more than 113 countries. And that was motive. My team will actually have opportunity to grow. And I agree that in the first 5 years I will be partner, so I will not sell all shares. And after 5 years, then the contract was that I have to be only managing director. And everything went great because I was a part of the big system. I learned actually how to be a manager in the business systems for corporations. And when I sold the company, actually I entered in the comfort zone because I'm now the very well paid managing director here in Macedonia. I can travel around the world. I have actually maintained this high level of knowledge no one in Macedonia can. And suddenly I decided actually to quit and start with my business again. So the person who actually the whole career built in the data science and to advise the client that fact-based consultancy is the only way to lead the successful business, I actually brought at that time completely intuitive decision. And when I decided, of course, to leave the company, start with my business again, I had a problem with my family, with friends, because they said, so what do you want to conquer the world? It's enough, you have a great salary, now you are a mother, you have twins, why to not enjoy with your kids? And I really start to actually think that I have some mental problem, because to start again in Macedonia from the zero, it's not a good decision at all, especially because I'm single mother. And during the process of actually trying to find some support from the people who I really think that they are great professionals and people who are bold, during this discussion, actually I discovered what means when you are entrepreneur, not only manager. So I discovered that not always, when you are entrepreneur, not always you are led by facts, you are not always led by market conditions, even analysis which you break, but actually you have to work by your intuition to be on the market. And when you are manager, always you are closed in your office, then you have to make these reports to the management board worldwide, then to prepare how to you actually convince that your budget for the next year is good. It's no intuition, and you have no this high level of adrenaline. So I know that it's not good example to share with young people who are founders of startups here in Macedonia. It's not easy at all, but I think that only way to live, to feel that you are live and you live the life with full potential is to be entrepreneur, because you create the value and you actually make your dreams to be realized and to put in reality. When you work for someone else, you will spend the same energy, the same time, the same stress. Maybe the stress is even higher because you have to actually report to someone who is above you in the hierarchy. But I think that then at that time maybe you will have this comfort zone, you will have a salary at the end of the month, but you will actually work for realization of dreams of someone else, not of your dreams.
Thank you. My comment would be, I wish we had more mental problems of your kind, I think, especially in Macedonia. Okay. So next I'd like to ask if there are questions from the audience. Would be great. Vera? Yeah.
This question is for Nino. First of all, congratulations on your awards and your success. Question is, with all the challenges you faced, what was your motivation to keep on going and not giving up?
Well, it might sound mainstream, but I believe that the core of not giving up is to really have a great vision and drive. It should be that great that it wakes you up in the morning, because it will get tough, it will get rough, it will be boring in some of the phases, it will be stressful at some moments. But like, our passion is, as I mentioned, our vision is to create a world-known product from here. I did part of my studies, actually did my master's degree in Boston University, and I was offered to be a teaching assistant there, and also on UMass, but both me and my co-founder received really well, offers for job positions in big companies internationally. But the thing is, the drive to prove that you can succeed worldwide from here kept us together throughout all of these years, and it was the reason why we continued after each failure, and why we are still on this road, because we had a lot of success so far, but we didn't achieve our vision yet. So I think that, if I can summarize, is that, you really find something that drives you. So, and if you have such a vision and it's personal, then that's the sole reason why you don't give up and say, I can do this. When you're staring at the abyss and you're like, I can't take this anymore, because there are moments like that. It's the vision that's, it keeps you on the road. It's just like, hey, you've been, you went this far, you can still, continue and achieve your vision. So, so basically believing in yourself and have a vision that's really a personal drive. So, yes.
Next. Meto Koloski with the United Macedonian Diaspora, and I want to congratulate Nikita and the entire board on a successfully organized summit thus far. Twofold question. One is, how can we limit government's involvement in terms of starting up companies, startups, and all that? And then what would be your vision for Macedonia in this field that you're in for the next 5 years, perhaps 10 years? To anyone who wants to answer.
So for limiting governmental involvement, I would say that we have a lot of organizations like Macedonia 2025. We mentioned Startup Macedonia. There are a lot of enthusiasts out there who want to mentor, who want to share knowledge, and I think that we're headed the right way by doing it on our own. Governmental support would mean a lot, of course, but even if it's not there, I think we can do it, unless we're obstructed in some ways. On the other thing, like my personal vision, because from the industry that I come from, we're trying to create a lot of unique opportunities for people here so that they don't move out from the country. So we're facing a lot of brain drain at the moment, and that's why, and it's highly skilled talent. It's not only people who live just for the living conditions. And so they leave behind high-paying jobs, they leave behind really good lifestyle to just move away and maybe work on something that they enjoy or driving their careers forward. So I'm thinking that we should create an environment where people would like to stay here and then know that they would have the opportunities to move forward and grow professionally, because it's not only about creating an environment where people can survive, it's improving the quality of life and having the innovation come from here, not from outside.
Steve, I'm curious, did you have any regulatory issues in the U.S. by hiring people here to help with the coding and building of the platform, or no?
Well, we set up a wholly owned subsidiary here in Macedonia. It's owned by the U.S. entity, and it's definitely different than in the U.S. So, it just comes with the territory.
Thank you. So, this morning I gave a speech in which I said that we need to multiply successful stories, and this is the panel that we need to multiply. And you were all carefully chosen because you're very successful young people. So Nino, I actually didn't met you previously, but yesterday I saw your presentation at the pitching event, and really it's what you do is great, and I hope that others will follow. But I also hope that as an organization we will support you. So yesterday we had a pitching event in which we said that we will offer mentorship from the diaspora and from professionals to successful companies and startups from Macedonia. So I hope that we will be of support, great support to you. Katerina Oradeva was part of our program, which is called BITOF program, in which we bring KESO experts, Canadian experts, to Macedonia. So you can share also your experience. I think that you were a perfect match with the expert actually, and I think, I believe that actually we also contributed to the growth of your company. Vesna is my colleague from university, but Vesna will be also tomorrow part of another pitching event, which is actually an event for, it's for actually medium-sized companies, very successful, innovative companies, and we would like to support them to be successful on the US market and our Canadian market, so thank you, Vesna. Steve, we approached Steve through LinkedIn, me, Michael, actually Michael had the first call, and we were like, this is successful Macedonia and abroad. And then we realized that he actually has a company also here, employing people here. So thank you all for coming and for sharing the experience. And I really hope that together we can kind of achieve or increase your competitiveness, exports, and show good stories, multiply the effects. So thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah. Thank you. And before we close our panel, I'd like to ask each of our panelists to share their vision for the future of their company. Because I'm thinking a success like this needs to multiply success, 10x, 100x, as Nikita said also this morning. An important point, Nikita, that you made was we need to not only go left, right, up or down, but we need to go fast. And even in entrepreneurship, failing fast is good, right? But helping to nurture, celebrate successes, celebrates failures. And very importantly, from what I've seen in the entrepreneurship environment here in Macedonia, it's very important to inspire, very important to know that if you have a laptop, if you have a garage, and if you have a dream, you will get somewhere. And that the naysayers will one day say, yeah, I was wrong. So we do want people to feel empowered, people to feel that they can transform and transcend obstacles, and that can bring success to their own companies and also to the country. So with this, I'd like to ask you to share your vision for the future, and I hope at least one will say, I want to have a $1 trillion company, because I don't think we have many of those around here in this region of the world. So please, Katerina, we'll start with you.
I already said that they would be the next unicorn, so I think she would be the $1 trillion. Our vision. So I mentioned that we are facing the moving out. People are moving out. We are losing a lot of intelligent people who can really contribute to this society. So as a company, we want to improve that state, of course, because that's what we do. And right now, we are working with a lot of companies who are from the Fortune 500 list, and also with startups who are widely recognized. And we have people from Macedonia working remotely as part of their teams. So one colleague last week, he was in San Francisco in their office working with a $1 billion startup from the United States, and that was a unique experience for him because he doesn't always get the chance to do that. So I think in the future we would like to multiply these experiences and have more people work with companies like this, because it's in an environment like that you want to continue do what you do instead of moving out and trying to pursue your dreams somewhere else. And for the whole ecosystem, I think that I said we're on the right path. But I think Nikita mentioned, I want to add that about the CASO program, it was really helpful for us because over here, from experience, it's not a fact that I know, but I think that most of the companies come with technical background. The founders are from technical universities or they have some other backgrounds which is not business or sales. And so we don't have that much experience internally in Macedonia to share among each other. And these programs like the CASO one and people coming from abroad and sharing their experience in companies like IBM, our consultant came from IBM, he had 20 years of sales experience there. It was really helpful for us to create a basis for what we do, our strategy, and how to continue forward. So I think this is something of those things that are not related to the government, but what we can do to improve the whole ecosystem together.
Okay, thank you. Vesna?
So our short-term vision is to open a sales office on Western America continent, that means USA or Canada. And the long-term vision is for 3 years from now, I think that Google will buy my company again. And I will make exit. This is long-term vision.
That's a great vision. Okay. And Steve?
Our vision is to be the largest HR tech matching company in the world. I'm pretty confident there's $1 billion business here. When is it's a matter of time, and ultimately I'm very proud to be Macedonian. 2/3 of the founders are Macedonian, a third's actually Serbian, so we won't hold it against them. But we wear it very proudly, and I never, when people ask where you're from, I tell them I'm Macedonian, and I love that. So.
Yeah, thank you.
So yeah, as I said on a couple of occasions, the reason why we started the company is to build a world-known product. And we had a lot of successes in the past, but never achieved it. But I think that this year we're closer to our vision that we have ever been in the past. One of the achievements that we have achieved this year is actually expanded our company to the Scandinavian region by opening the office in Oslo in Norway. And the sole reason for that was our flagship product, Codewell AI, which is already a self-sustainable business with a high growth potential. So our short-term vision is to expand in the United States and cover that market, but the long-term vision is actually to one of these 3 products that we're working on that will eventually be that one world-known product that we're aiming from the very beginning. So.
Okay. Thank you very much, and with this I'd like to invite you to thank our panelists.
I just want to thank everybody for a fantastic day. Again, looking forward to seeing everybody tonight for cocktails, networking, and that. And then back here bright and early tomorrow morning at 8:45, butts in the seats to get ready to go for a great second day of the summit. So thank you guys again.